All right. Peace, peace, peace. Man. So apologies, my fault. I totally forgot to make the schedule. Like, look, I had to put a lot into this, or at least a lot of thought into this, and like completely forgot. Oh, I gotta make this. I gotta make the thumbnail another day. Man, I forgot about that. Peace, chief. Like I literally forgot to make the thumbnail. I'm too busy like doing research and thinking what else to say, and here I am like, oh, the thumbnail. I'm like, oh, I'm ready. It was like, oh, I forgot the thumbnail, man. But peace, Sister Kashia, and peace, and my queer. You know what I'm talking about. And yeah, I just completely like it. Like, look, it literally went over my head because I was too busy watching dago documentaries and stuff and just thinking about what I was going to talk about. So, peace, sovereignty, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, yeah. All right, for sure, for sure, for sure. Already, Chief, already. So, we talking about Kingdom of Heaven. And this was done by Sister Deirdre, we had to. She been waiting a minute, so we gotta, give her some attention, and whatnot. Yes, the movie wasn't historically accurate. Just to let y'all know, Kingdom of Heaven is not historically accurate. And more importantly, I mean, it's a good film. You know what I'm talking about? But and look who here. Peace, Sister Deirdre, you fine? Good to see you already. You know what I'm talking about? But it's not historically accurate. I can, uh give you a couple of reasons why, and we'll go over them as we go with the movie. But that's true too. The documentaries will only mess you up if you know. But I, because one thing you have to understand is that what they don't tell you in the movie, and mind you, for those who don't know, because I got the director's cut, which is way longer, I'm able to fill in more gaps as far as movie wise. Um, so to better help y'all get understanding on what scenes was cut that probably just went over your head. But one thing you have to understand is but good film? Nah, too much didn't make sense. But admittedly, I watched it like 10 times. Yeah, I mean, when I watched the theatrical version, you know, it didn't make sense. One reason why I watched it was because, when my Bible was live, he will always quote it. You know what I'm saying? He will always quote Kingdom of Heaven. And because the guy quoted, Kingdom of Heaven, then so let me watch this movie. Let me buy it. I bought it at Walmart one time, and when I first got it, I was like, it's man, it wasn't till years later, when I got the director's cut, then I was like, oh, so that's what that was about. Oh, okay. There was just some things I just didn't understand it in the director's cut. So it was like, oh, okay, I get it, I get it. So look, there is a lot of history when it comes to Kingdom of Heaven, and I can't pack all of it into one show. So I'm just gonna say, look, if I miss things, hey, it's a lot, it's a whole lot. But what you also have to know is that we're talking about the Crusades, or better yet, the Crusades for the Holy Land, which is Israel, Jerusalem, and in the Middle East. And the time frame that we are talking about, Shalom, Sham, the Joy, DJ Shmoney, the time frame we are talking about, it is the third crusade that we're in. The third. the third crusade that we in. So just so you know, like some people will probably lump them all in, but no, this is the third crusade, right? And so during this time, at least the time frame that Kingdom Heaven is set in, the Christians um actually have Jerusalem. You know what I'm talking about? And they got it from basically the Fatimids or the Fatimid dynasty or the Fatimid sultanate. If the Fatimid sultanate is the sultanate that basically were basically the dynasty. They take their name from Fatima. Yes, I know it. See, here we go. I told you it's a lot, but they took it from the Fatima dynasty. Look, I ain't about to go into all of it. You look up the Fatima dynasty. You'll know who they is, because it's a lot, But you have to understand that it was during the time of the Fatima dynasty and the Seljuk Turks. You know what I'm talking about. The Byzantine Empire is still around. You know, you can't say already. That's my word. but, but yeah, but they take it from them. You know what I'm talking about, and they run it. Yeah, caliphate and sultanate. Yeah, it's boy, but yeah, whew, so but they have it right, and they have Jerusalem. Um, and you have to understand that the Crusades pretty much was started by the Pope, Urban the second or the first. See, it's a lot, but that's how the first crusade started off, and all started off, you could say, like politically, like a propaganda campaign. That these Muslims just had the Holy Land in their clutches, and they were doing these crazy things. Nobody knows if it was true, but the Pope said it was. So and so because he did, people started to, as they say, take up the cross or the crusade, what I'm saying, to go back to the Holy Land and retake it for Christendom, and whatnot. So that's how you get to the third crusade, right? So, anyway, now in the movie it says it's the time frame is France 1184, right? And so you see Balian, Balian's wife is being buried at the crossroads because she's a suicide. And in Christendom, if you are a suicide, or at this time in Christianity or Catholic Christianity, no suicide can be buried in hallowed ground, which is a cemetery. So they buried her at the crossroads, because it was deemed that she was going to go to hell, because she was a suicide. And as you can see, the priest, which is actually, if you don't know, because they don't tell you, the priest is actually Balian's brother, or rather half brother. But the priest is his brother, and he tells the gravedigger to cut off, her head and whatnot, because she's a suicide. And goes back to Balian. But before that, you see Crusaders on the road, coming back from, the Holy Land and whatnot. And what they don't tell you, at least in the movie, the priest is also Lucian. Yes, he is Lucian from Underworld. He is Lucian from Underworld. And you see the Baron Godfrey. He's returning to France. Now, what they don't tell you, at least in the movie, unless you watch the director's cut, is that Godfrey is the brother to the Lord of the land, that Balian lives in. But he's the younger brother. So he he didn't really get an inheritance because he was the younger brother. But he went to take up the cross or take up the crusade and ended up being the Baron of Ebelin, in Israel. Now historically, Balian was born in Israel, in Jaffa, and his father became the Baron of Ebelin, there. So he was never in France, but they don't tell you that. But and it's a weasel, and he was a weasel, but they don't you don't see it. He was taking look. He took his wife's Balian's wife's cross, but he was also taking the money and things that people were like the priest or the bishop was given gave him to give the Balian, say, I'm sorry for your loss. They, we know Balian as a blacksmith, but what they call him is an artificer. He makes siege weapons and things like that. So he's more than just a blacksmith. He makes things. Mechanical things and things of war and armor. He's also an armorer. Things like that. They just don't say it. They just say he's the blacksmith. But yeah, and usually young brothers would go to church. Yeah, well, this one didn't go. He was like, "F that, I'm going to take up the cross and go to the Holy Land. I'd rather be, a merc or whatever." Yeah, and stuff. Yes, that in here was wonky because it doesn't make sense why the priest would be so interested in Balian going to the Crusades. Because exactly, because that's his brother. And he picks with Balian. You know what I'm talking about? Say, you never fight back. He just pushing him. You never see a priest that actually wants to fight. But he keeps on messing with Balian while he's grieving. You know what I'm talking about? And things like that. But one thing that's said from the bishop. He says, there's so much done in Christendom, of which Christ would, be incapable. I found that interesting. Because we, as we were talking about, false prophets and things like that. If you look at the Crusades, you see these, these so-called holy men or people in these roles, and they tell these people to go to this place they ain't never been and don't know nothing about, and they actually have something inside of them that makes them warlike and vengeful to where they'll go someplace else they've never been and fight for it just because it's said to be holy to them. Even though they can't speak Latin, can't read the Bible, or and things like that. But there's something in them because at this time in Europe, it's there's no really I would say a solidity of power among the powers in Europe, in the sense where there's an established, we're talking about monarchies. The monarchies are not really established. It's like the Wild West. Every man for himself in a sense. They were told if they fought in the Crusades, their sins would be forgiven. They would immediately gain access to heaven. Yes, Chief, that that is true. They were told that. It's like it's like buying an indulgence. You know what I'm talking about. You go to the Holy Land, you can be absolved, of your sins and gain access to heaven. And that's what the priest tells Balian. If you take up the crusade and go to Jerusalem and fight, you will absolve your wife's status in hell. Even though she's a so-called suicide, but then he's like, but what she does without a head, like you just poking at this dude, and then Balian kills him, but Balian only went to absolve himself and his wife. Weasel half brother priest told him his wife was walking around headless and hip. Yeah, because she, cut her head off. The film, even in cinematic, tried to make Europe look like it was in the Dark Age period, but actually this was a Renaissance period for Europe, and Islamic world. Yeah, I would say that, Chief. It is, but also, like I say, this is also during the time of crusades, and not just in the Holy Land, but in Spain and in the Balkans. you know. So there's more than one crusade going on. But when you hear the Spanish Crusade, who you think of? You think of this, the Crusades with the Moors, and think, because they the only ones that's so yeah. But yeah, it will be a Renaissance period for them. But hey, they had to be taught. Somebody had to teach them. Somebody had to teach them. But yeah. So, he kills the priest, and but Godfrey returns and tells him, that, I'm your father, even though he's named after another man, but he says, I was the 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 younger brother of a lord, but I didn't force your mother. She really was willing. You know what I'm saying? But I'm your daddy. you know. But if you want anything of me, you ask it now. And he's like, sir, I don't want nothing from you. And then Godfrey says, well, God protect you, and goes on his way, because he was like, you'll never see me again. Mind you, Bellion's real father historically his name is not Godfrey. But he meets Godfrey again. Greetings, Ken 171. Ken 171. Okay. So he meets Godfrey on the road and tells, I've done murder. And he's like, haven't we all? And he goes with him. And so he learns swordplay. One thing, that's what I like. He's like, okay, take a high guard, it's called the Guard of the Hawk. At least that's what the Italians call it. Don't ask me to say it, because I'm not about to make a fool of myself and butcher Italian words when I really never cared for Italian. So, so he learns, but he also learns from Heinrich, who's Germanic. Who's also there is a Moorish man, called Feruz. They never say his name, but his name is Feruz. But he's more, what I'm saying. In the director's cut, there's an interesting scene where the the squire is peeing in the river, and then Feruz sees it, and he basically seems like he cusses him out in his own language, like, "What did you do? You dirty white boy, what?" Peeing in rivers, that's how you get dysentery. But things like that. But as he's learning swordplay and things like that, basically, Godfrey's nephew comes, and Falcon. All right, thought it was Hawk. Falcon, don't matter. Yeah, Falcon. Yeah, I forget. Okay, see, told you it's a lot. So, but his nephew comes. They don't say it, but his nephew comes, Peace, and Marlene, and says we have to take Bellion back, because he murked the priest, but Godfrey won't give him up, so they ambush him. Yeah, he got he got like a 2-minute sword lesson. They could have at least done a time lapse over a year or so. That wasn't enough sword instruction to become full. Exactly. And another thing, they're on horseback. It's gonna take you some months to get to where you need to go. You know what I'm saying? So that could have been explained, but no. But yeah, you are totally right, especially if you ever take a sword play, there are different styles, and depending on the sword that you have, depending on the sword that you have, as well. So, yeah, he gets a 5 minute, 2 minutes sword lesson, and all of a sudden he's a master swordsman. But they get ambushed. Heinrich gets killed. Fettles, the more he gets killed, you know what I'm saying, and Godfrey gets wounded. I thought the sword instruction was dangerous. Fighting style seemed to leave one open to get slashed. Well, I mean, usually, Emma Queen, you would actually learn with wooden swords first, but they were teaching with real, actual swords, and sometimes even if you had real swords, you would have blunted, that didn't have sharp, didn't have edges on it, blunted, um, swords to learn sword play. It can, it is dangerous, you know what I'm saying? But that's why they had chainmail, armor, and things like that, to stop you from getting slashed or at least help with that, So the fighting style seemed to leave one open to get slashed. Yeah, if you didn't know what you was doing, I mean, it will leave you open to get slashed, stabbed, speared, things like that, comes with the territory. You know what I'm talking about? Godfrey told him he was pretty good, so maybe he was in the gifted and talented class. Yeah, sure. sure, Sister Major. Yeah, but he said start with raising your sword above, totally open. It depends. You got to remember, you may think that he's totally open because his body's open. But remember, he's wearing armor as well. You know what I'm talking about? And not only that, it's a fighting style. So he may take a high guard, but he also knows how to attack and defend from that position. Therefore, he's not open just because you see his body open. He knows how to parry, uh the attacks that will probably come from the body, from his body, parts that are open. You have to look at it like that, Emma Queer. But I do get what you're saying. It looks like he's totally open, but uh, not so much. If you understand sword styles, because there was more than one. Now how many have survived? That depends. But yeah. I know nothing of sword fight. Yeah, sword fighting's fun. Hey, we've been kids. Sword fighting's fun. you know. Back then warfare was super gritty. Swords were cutting through bones like axes. The movies just show little flesh slices, but those heavy swords were breaking bones and giving concussions. Exactly. Even if you are in plated armor, you know what I'm talking about. You may get a broken bone just from a sword cut. It may not cut through your armor, but you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel something. Even if it's a cutting weapon, it can also be it can break a bone. Even if your chainmail and your plated armor, states, uh helps you not to have a mortal wound. You know what I'm saying? So you have to think about that. There is a common assumption in storytelling that since blacksmiths made weapons, they're automatically adept with them. It's easy for the audience to let it slide. Yeah, that yeah, I totally agree. Master Antonio. Can we say that this scene demonstrated the importance of warriors having the skill to repel attack from any starting position? Yeah, of course you can. That is totally um important. Not only that, I would say from a starting position and the types of warriors that you will fight. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to remember, one thing that is said in the movie, but only in the director's cut, is that Balian is not only an artificer and an engineer, but he was a cavalryman. He fought in and like a war between, French nobles or whatever. But he was a cavalryman, and an engineer, so and things like that. So he's been to war before, but you have to be able to probably defend your position. If you're on foot, you have to be able to defend your position probably from on high, from cavalry, or from a spearman, or an archer, things like that. Well, he be making them, so of course he could use them, but no, that is not right. Exactly. But yeah, you have to be able to, if you are a warrior, you have to be able to defend yourself from not just many positions, but also many types of warriors, or many types of many types of warrior soldiers, things like that, because you're just not going to always meet someone on foot, you know, um, with a sword and shield. Some had spears, some had axes, some had this, some had long swords. Really really long swords, like you see, um, broad swords, long swords, short swords, with different edges and think of, man, it's a lot. The movie made Bailey a military strategist after a few sword lessons, but right before that, he was in the forge making pots and pans. He would have had the leadership skill displayed in the movie. He would exactly pots and pans. What pots and pans? But yeah, he's shoeing horses. He's shoeing horses. Making horseshoes. You don't see him making swords till later on. Just, but yeah, he's showing horses. Where did he learn strategy from, and who did he learn strategy from? It's never explained or whatever. Um, so yeah, I think what was also in, like Chief, you saying the little things. One little thing that always interested me was the beam on the wall, beam on the roof. That was written. What man is a man that does not make the world better? You know what I'm saying? I always like that, those words. But yeah, so um that happens, and so they continue on to go to Jerusalem. The thing is that we basically forward, and they're in Messina. Now, where is Messina? Messina is in Sicily. Messina, Bill, Messina. If they gave me the gas, I'll be there by now. And then I'll take you. Patton, if y'all don't know the movie Patton, in World War II, Messina, was actually a place where, the Allies, went to. They had no strategic value, but yeah, it's in Sicily, Messina, but yeah. So, they get to Messina, but they just say, they're going to Italy. They're going to Messina, and it's in Sicily, you know. So yeah. And Godfrey, talks to him on the road a little bit. But this is the first time we see one, when they get there. One thing they see, basically, you could say, a monk on the road. And he says, to kill an infidel is not murder. It's the path to heaven. You know, but in the director's cut, he says, to kill an infidel is not murder, according to the Pope. You know. Exactly, Brother Antonio. They gave him too much grace. Yeah, every time Balin survived the fight, I had to tell myself it's in the script. Yeah, it's in the script, sort of. Yeah, it's in the script. It's in the script. It's in the script. Um, it's in the script. So, but they meet Guy de Lusignan, who makes trades jabs with Godfrey, about, illegitimacy and, mothers being, gardening tools. So, and whatnot, but Balian is knighted. And if you see, when he's knighted, he's actually wearing, basically the colors of, that basically, his father's house, which is, the Ebelin. They got the colors, I would say the red and the gold with, with the crosses and whatnot. Right. Uh, the Templars were sanctioned for all levels of religious violence. Funny that the same religion condemns those same Sufis for the same thing today. Yes, they were. The poor, the poor fellows, or the poor fellows of Christ. Temple of Solomon. Yes, they were sanctioned to to commit all types of violence, and they do. But you know what? Even before the Templars, they were doing that anyway. They were committing all types of atrocities before the Templars were even created. I will say that they were doing it. Yeah, Deus vote. God wills it for sure. But that was the shutdown statement. Yeah, So yeah, but he's knighted. He's given an oath from his father. And he's smacked. Um, signed with exactly, Master Antonio, which was cool. Always tell the truth, even to your death. And that's so you remember it. That wasn't a real bit. I'm sorry. That was the that was the well, one. You got to do backhand. You got to fly up. If it was one of us, we'll smack the mess out, smack the teeth out your mouth, and be like, that's so you remember it, and you will dang remember. But yeah. The Night Rebellion was hilarious. A bastard could not be knighted. He would have inherited nothing. Also, because he was a bastard in real life, he received his inheritance from his brother. Yes, he did, Chief. He did in receiving his inheritance from his brother. His second brother, his older brother, died, but he received his inheritance from his second brother. That did happen. So yeah, but realistically, historically, illegitimate children that were, out of wedlock could not, receive, noble, inheritance from a noble, or a house, of that manner. So yeah, totally backwards today. It's just, you can be one and, just inherit everything, or just not only that, just have the simple, fact to say that's my dad. Like, were you recognized? I don't know. Don't ask me those things. But yeah, um, for sure. That's why Gee was so disgusted. It was no real. It was, yeah. He was disgusted. Of course he was. Then Balian gets smacked, and to remember his inheritance. I thought that was interesting. It wasn't to remember his inheritance. It was to remember his nightly oath or nightly vow. Basically, but not his inheritance. That's just. But yeah, basically his oath and his vow that he was making as he was becoming a knight. Now, realistically, historically, Balian was not an legitimate child. So, but yeah, it's in the script. just look at it as being in the script. It is true that surnames that begin with Fitz indicate that someone was legitimate. Fitz! you, well, one surname, Fitzpatrick. Thank you, Sister Deirdre already. So, I'll never, well, anyway, we gonna talk about that. Yeah, yeah. Right. The mafia has a similar ritual with that slap when soldiers are made. Of course, you gotta, put well, you got the saint apparently burning in the hands, but you're gonna get smacked. You know. Things a thing of honor, and that's to make sure you understand. But yeah. but well, it probably even well if we talk about mafias, depending because there's more than one thing of Oz, and when it comes to Italy, it probably is different from where you are, from what region you are. For Sicily is one thing, from Naples is one thing, from Sardinia to the north of where Florence and it's probably different from each organized syndicate. Well, I'll just say it like that. It's probably different for them all, but practically the same, depending. But they probably want to put their own spin on it. But yeah, you know, um, even Yakuza, takes their rituals, samurai, So yeah, Chief, spot on with it, That makes you think, whether these warrior clans actually, go or things like that. So, um, Bailing sails the ship and it gets stopped over. And now, mind you, ships at this point in time, they take a long time to get somewhere. So how did he end up on land? I don't know, but yeah, it topside, but he ends up on land in somewhere in Israel, apparently. Whatever. But yeah. And look, only him and a horse survives. But yes, what I'm talking about. And he is met by two Muslim men, and one is a cavalryman. And he's like, you on my land, that horse is mine. So I took this horse from the sea, but he won't give up the horse, So they fight. The cavalryman is killed, but he takes the other, that looks like his servant. And he says, take him to Jerusalem. He takes him to Jerusalem. He gives, the guy the horse and says, I set you free. You know what I'm saying? But he says to him, your quality will be known among your enemies before ever you meet them, my friend. It was one king who named his son Fitzroy because he was a bastard and he was to claim him. That wasn't the case for all Fritz. Oh, Fritz. It means son of. Yeah, okay. Gotcha, Chief. Gotcha. Mm. Him and the horse with no injuries whatsoever. It's in the script. Of course, it's in the script. Just like it's in the manual, but it's in the script. But yeah, he gets there. Mind you, it would took some time for him to get there. But horseback, it's gonna take you some time. But he got there. And he goes to the holy sites. Where Christ was crucified and things like that, where Christ was killed. He goes there, bears the cross and things like that. King of the Blue Mountain, yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know, Sham. But yeah, so he goes there. What I did like about this was that they showed Al Aqsa Mosque before it had this golden dome. you know. I like that, before I had to go though, solid gold. But yeah, but yes. Um, so, you know, he's still, looking for answers and whatnot. But because he has, his father's sword, he meets, his, the people of his house, the men of arms of his house, and you must have known, carry Godfrey's sword, you must have known him. They charge him up, question him, you know what I'm saying? But he gives the right answers. So they say, come with us, my lord. So he goes, and who's there? The hospitaller. Well, that's what they call him. You never know his name, but he's a hospitaller, and that's a knightly order. Probably where you get hospital from. Along with they they were around the time of the Knights Templar. As you can see, their colors were black and white. You know, um, but yeah, I sort of see hospitals as combat medics. That's the best way I could rationalize them, without giving into so much history. They're combat medics in that sense. But yeah, you know, um, so they talk of religion and you know, and the hospital. I always like the hospital's word when he says, I put no stock in religion. I've seen, so many different denominations, do some cruel things and then call an act of God. You know what I'm saying? And then he says, what God wants is in here and in here. It's in right action, and what you decide to do every day will decide whether you're a good man or not. I always thought that was, little things, like you said, it's the little things, those words, and whatnot. But he meets Sibylla, which is the king's sister. And he also meets Marshal Tiberius, played by Jeremy Irons. And I like the way he began to work and build up his father's land once he arrived. Yes, Marlene. Yeah, yeah. Um, so he meets the king of Jerusalem, who is a leper, which that's true. Baldwin the Fourth. That's his name. I know they don't say, but his name was Baldwin the Fourth. He was a leper. Yeah, it's Baldwin the Fourth. Got to make sure because there's more than one. He was a leper, and actually, we might as well just get this out the way. Actually, the woman that Balian, the real Balian of Evelyn, actually marries her name was Maria Comenena, and she was the widow of the former, the previous king before Baldwin, which was Amaric. So I can't make that up. So yeah, that working of the land was Tarzan flashback. He goes there and shows the natives how to work the land better than they can, even though he comes from a completely different climate. Thank you. I mean, how you just come to the desert, and just think you know everything. You don't know. Here I am about to put another movie, but we ain't about to go there. So, but yeah, he goes there and he instantly knows the land. You know what I'm saying? And whatnot. So yeah. But when he meets the king, when he meets Baldwin the Fourth, I always thought his word, the words that, Baldwin tells him, he relates everything to chess, right? AKA Uncle Scott. Well, Jeremy Irons been played in a bunch of movies, depending on how far you go back. Well, yeah, I guess it's in the script. Exactly. So he's he relates politics or things that's happening to a game of chess. And I like how he says you know uh, a king can move a man, a father can claim a son, a man can move himself, only then does that man truly begin his own game, you know. Yeah, the script was crazy. Lots of lots to go around. Yes, lots to go around. But then he says, even though you are moved around by kings, just remember that your soul is in your keeping alone when you stand before God. And because you cannot say, but I was told by others to do this, or that virtue was not convenient at the time. This will not suffice. Remember that. You know what I'm saying? And things like that. But he go, we see him go work the land, and who comes? Sibylla. You know what I'm saying? And they have their little affair, on his land. She she basically choosing up apparently, and she need to get well, I won't be crude, you know. But yeah. I was following orders. Exactly, Antonio. What even in the military, that quote always stuck in my mind. I can't say, I was just following orders. That's an excuse, because I could have said no. But yeah, that sometimes when somebody tells you something like that for me, that quote always stuck in the back of my mind, man. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you just can't say that. But yeah, they having a little time together, what I'm talking about, uh and whatnot. And then we see, Reynald de Chatillon, and Guy de Lusignan. They are raiding, they're raiding, caravans, continuing to raiding caravans, because they want a war. They want a war with Saladin, you know what I'm saying? The Isha you gave me. Huh? The Isha you gave me. Mm. Um. Oh, okay. I get it now. Okay, yeah, I get it. Now, I want to return this to you, sir. The Isha you gave me. Okay. Yes, Adam in the garden. Yes. I almost lost it. But yeah. But then I had to think each. Oh, yeah. Now I remember. Okay. So, but then, as they raid, and it's told about at court, where she shows us that the blame game ain't gonna work. Yes, the blame game never works. The blame game, the putting off on responsibility on somebody else never works. You know what I'm saying? It never works. But it's brought up at court, by Tiberius. But the king says, assemble the army. So Balian goes to Kedak, as they say, to protect, the civilians that are not in basically the fort or the fortress, and so he fights basically the vanguard, I would say the vanguard of the Muslim army before they get there, and he loses, he gets rowdy, he gets his men killed, and he gets captured. But the guy that he let go and free, he says, he says the same thing he told him, in Jerusalem, your quality will be known among your enemies before ever you meet them, my friend. You know what I'm saying? The Christian soldiers were very barbaric. The Muslims seemed more civilized. Yeah, in a sense, but It all depends on who's telling the story, Emma Arlene, at times. You know, some will say the Christians were barbaric. Some say the Muslims were barbaric. All depends on who's telling whose story. You know what I'm talking about? So you gotta, you can look, um, you can look, um, but you remember somebody's telling you the story and saying, "Oh, the Christians were so barbaric," or whatever. No, it might have been. You're never really gonna know unless you were there. But then you have the Christians say, "We weren't the barbarian ones. It was the Muslims. They were barbaric. Them and their God." You know, you know. That's why you do your research and look up accounts and see what was really going down and who was doing what. History is written by the victors. Yes, history is written by the victors. But even if they didn't win, it would still be written by you in your account. We didn't win. Okay, we gonna act like we did win. you know, and things like that. So it's always going to be biased. Gotta look for the third side. Yeah. Guillermo Renaud reminded me of the dynamic between Agamemnon and his brother from Troy. I don't know why, but he popped in my head whenever I saw those two together. Well, because Renaud was, Menelaus, in Troy. So I would not blame you, for looking at that. He was Menelaus. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but they warn because they want to face the big bad, which is Saladin. I mean, we got into the guy yet, but um, we Saladin's army comes, Baldwin's army comes. They both were barbaric as heck at the time. On Maryland, Saladin was seen to be and I guess you meant an angel of death, from the book of Revelations at the time by some Christians, and others saw him as a noble warrior. Yeah, um, yeah, I would say that, Chief, but also remember who was putting hits out on Saladin? The assassins. The assassins were putting hits out on Saladin. Like, for those who don't know, when the Hashashin were around, they actually put hits out on Saladin. Like that happened. You know, um, and even him, went to war with the assassins. So yeah, it all depends. Historians be like, that's how the story happens, smack, and that's how you remember it. Exactly. At that time, there were Catholics who saw his presence as the end time signs. Yeah. But the Templars raped and killed with the thought all will be pardoned by the church later. Exactly. They did. And not only that, look, they did that, and they did it to Muslims and Christians and Jews. They were there too. But they were, or who you think? But but yeah, they were. They were doing that. When they got in control, they were killing, pillaging, even so-called Christians. But remember how I told you, these were Christians that were not Catholic. They were of different denominations. So I guess it was okay anyway, because they ain't Catholics. They belong to some sect we don't recognize, but it's okay. We'll be forgiven. We're Templars, the Sufi mystics. We're also killing machines at that time. Exactly. I'm talking about. Hey, people were getting it. They put in that work. These places weren't, These places were empires. They weren't third world countries like you see today. They were kingdoms and they had armies. And hey, they get it in, G. They get they get it in. You know. Um, so Saladin and Balian, Baldwin, you know, they come to a peace agreement and whatnot, and Saladin leaves, right? And you see Reynald get arrested. Um, okay, I get into a little bit about Saladin. Saladin, he's from Tikrit. He's from Tikrit. We already know somebody who, some other leader that's from the Tikrit. But Saddam Hussein. But he's from, he was born in Tikrit. His father was at one point the governor of Tikrit. He's Kurdish. Um, and um, he takes over, Egypt from the Fatimids, and then Syria from Nuadin. When with brother Achi Zag was talking about Al Nur, I was like, I don't know no Al Nur, but I do know Nur ad-Din. I know who that is. A little bit, but yeah. And he creates the Ayyubid Sultanate, or the Ayyubid dynasty, and whatnot. So where there goes our YouTube channel, he's not mentioning who we cannot name. I mean, it's like the guy's been dead for like years now. I doubt anybody cared. I was surprised to see. I was surprised to see the Muslim to take time off fighting the pride. Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's like the guy's he's dead and gone. Who cares now? He's not the big bad anymore. Nobody cares. We got him. Things like that. Yeah, it's educational. I'm not saying nothing bad. They came from the same place. That's all I'm saying. Who cares? They came from the same place. So what? Anyway. that just shows you how old Tikrit is. It's a very old place in a sense. Some of these places are very old. Some of these cities are very old. This is a time when Antioch is still around, which is not anymore. But the city of Antioch, which don't even have ruins. But yeah. So but yeah, that's a little bit about Saladin. I always thought it was a little bit cool. His name was cool to me. What I'm talking about? His name was always cool to me. Tikrit is in Iraq. Yes, it is. Now Salah ad-Din was actually named Yusuf. He also stomped through masses. I was going to say, guess what? Guess what his name really is? Yusuf. Thanks, Chief. You just still my script. But you are the producer, so I mean, of course before I know. But yeah, I was gonna say that. Just messed it up. But I wanted to say, guess what his name actually was, But yes, Salah ad-Din, righteousness of the faith is what the name means, but his name is actually Yusuf, Yusuf. But yeah. And yes, he did storm through Damascus. I know all the Yusufs. Too many of us. Hey, ain't too many Lawrence, so I know all the Lawrence pretty much. Or I like to say I want to know all the male Lawrence, I know all the dang female ones. We don't got the same name, no way. Mine's spelled different. So I want to know all the male Lawrence, So yeah. So I do understand your plight. Ain't too many uses, So I get it, But for sure. So yeah, man. But he creates his own Ayyub dynasty. which doesn't last long, even after his death. Only lasts for like 50 plus years, really. So that's something to know. But after that, we have a scene, where Saladin meets, the mullah, which is mullah is a legislator among Islam, and he says, why you would withdraw? God did not favor him. God determines, things like that, and actually, the person that Balian saves, his name is Ahmad, and his name is Ahmad Adin Al Isfalhuni. I hope I said it right, because he's the actual person. See, see, so ain't too many of us. But yeah, he's actual national person, and he served under Nur ad-Din, and he served under Saladin as chancellor. And actually, it's funny that the mullah is criticizing Saladin when it's actually Imad, who would historically criticize Saladin. Very interesting. But you could just say that the mullah and Imad are, basically the same person. It's just one, who's basically, strong, silent type or whatever. He has to be the cool, insightful one, things like that. But yeah, he was the chancellor. So when you see that guy, know that he's Saladin's chancellor, historically, But after that, Imad said, well, in the director's cut, Imad tells him, the Christians gonna make the war that you need, because you need to take, Jerusalem, because that's what apparently he promised. Is that the one who he tells to shake his hand? That's the mullah. The mullah is the one he says, thank you, that's the mullah. That's because that's what he is in the script. None of these people pretty much have names. I had to really actually look them up. Like, what's his name? I've never known. They never say his name. But that's the mullah. Now the guy in the armor that's with Saladin, that says Balian, that's Imad. That's Imad. But the mullah is the mullah. That's it's in the script. Some of these people, like I say, some of these people don't even got names. They just put title, the mullah. Like the guy that is with Balian in Messina, who was the guy that played him wrong. He's the English sergeant. It's like, but yeah. So he's like, some of these people don't even got names. Weird. English sergeant? Where's he a sergeant of? Figuring out who he was. Yeah, that's yeah. Like I say, somebody like the Moorish warrior. I had to look up his name and find out it was Feruz. Because they don't say his name. But his name is Feruz. But Balian is met with the king and asks, would you marry Sibylla if he was killed? And Balian refuses. He says, my soul's in my keeping alone. He said, I did say that. You know what I'm saying? And then, Sibylla, it's like, who are you to refuse? I'll give you the world. I would climb a nose. Okay. Anyway, but he look, even with Sibylla, he still says no. I say no, hell no. F up his game, but we can't have that Billy Hope. So, the king dies, Baldwin dies. You know what I'm saying? And Sibylla makes a deal with Guy, and the nephew, Baldwin the Fifth, what I'm saying, is also known as a leper as well, and Sibylla, what she doesn't want her son to be a leper. So she kills her dang on son. You know what I'm saying? And Balian has to he has hit put out on him. You know what I'm saying? Peace everyone. Better late than never, but never late than better. Already, I can say, you know what I'm talking about and whatnot. And imagine trying to explain that on your cinematic resume. I was in Kingdom of Heaven. Oh yeah, who did you play? God number 3. Get out. Exactly. You know. But yeah. Bailing gets a hit out put out on him. And actually the people that put a hit out on him is the dang on hospitalers, which is very interesting that it's the hospitalers that put a hit out on them, and not the Templars, but you find that out. Well, hold on, no, it was the Templars. It was the Templars, not the hospitalers. I probably messed them up because they was in black and white, but yeah. So we see that he's dead. See his leper's body and whatnot. And Renaud raids. He raids a caravan. The problem is it's a caravan that has Saladin's sister, and he kills his sister. You on a road. Yeah. And you see, well, Guy, he kills, because basically, Baldwin the Fifth is dead. He becomes the king, so he kills Saladin's messenger and says, "Assemble an army." Yeah. Actually, what actually happens is actually, Balian and Sibylla are on different factions. They're on different sides actually. Um, Basically, when Sibylla crowns Guy, Bailey is not with that faction because him and his wife, ain't for it. Him and his wife and his brother, they are basically one sec. All right. So security. So and whatnot. So the thing is that after that, they were on different sides. They weren't in love or anything like that. They were in different camps, But Bailey and relents and you know, basically we need your love, bro. Basically uh they dang gonna just come and he relents and he just says, I'll pay homage to him, right? And that business. What? I got you, bro. And so you have that, and then extra cheese. So then, so extra cheese. I don't. Hold on, hold on. No. Yeah, yeah. Michelangelo. Yeah. Oh, and no anchovies, and I mean no anchovies. You put anchovies on this piece, and you're in big trouble, dude. I had to think about it. New York, anchovies. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I had to think about it for a minute, but I got it. Oh, and I used to love that movie, man. Deep Dish. Well, deep dish. Well, what where I'm at? That thin stuff don't. We'll do that pizza. We like our pizza thick. Funny. Just like we like our goods thick. But anyway, you know. uh, so that happens. But they assembled the army, and actually what's going down is the Battle of Hattin, which is basically at the Horns of Hattin, which is near Lake Galilee and near the Jordan River, and that's what they're talking about. like Saladin wants you to come out. He knows his man, and they go, and you see, nobody had the logistics for this battle because you got these, these knights in this metal plated armor with this hot sun, and it's like, why? Why y'all got over there? Y'all know y'all gonna burn up, right? Bad enough y'all in the sun, and you gonna get heat stroke, in this metal armor. Someone reel him back in. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta reel me back. Come on. But yeah, so that happens, and they get ambushed, and it's straight route. It's straight route at the Battle of Hattin. You know what I'm talking about? Which historically, actually, Bellion was at. He was at the Battle of Hattin, and he pushes through and escapes. Didn't he fight for the people, not the king? Yes, he supposedly fought for the people, not the king. You know, um, but that happens, and actually, you see him go back to Jerusalem. Well, he stays in Jerusalem and was like, prepare the defenses. We're gonna, prepare the defenses with Tiberius, but Tiberius was like, nah, I'm going to Cyprus. He's like, man, forget this. I'm going to Cyprus. Whatever. But you see that, the battle straight route, and then you see, Saladin, captured, the king of Jerusalem, and he got, Guy and Renaud, and he offers, a cup of ice, shaved ice or whatever, or a cup of water to Renaud, which is a symbol that, because I offered this cup to you, your life is saved. But Renaud, well, Guy, he gives the cup to Renaud. I drink water for what it is. He's like, I didn't get that water to you. You said, no, you didn't, Your Highness. And then you see, Mullah takes the sword, and he's like, real samurai, like, But what the Saladin knew, he takes his dagger and slits his throat. In the director's cut, he slits his throat, and then he takes the sword and decapitates him. You know what I'm saying? But he had to come to him anyway. You know what I'm talking about? I was expecting a more gruesome death, but make him slow and painful. You gonna learn today. Who you messing with. But yeah, and then he tells Guy, no man, a king does not kill a king. And he says, were you not with a great king to learn by his example? He tells him that. You know what I'm saying? But then Bellion goes and sees the Battle of Hattin. And then he sees, the hospital, he got his head chopped off and whatnot. And Renault's head is on a dang on pike. You know what I'm saying? And actually, the cross that they have, if you don't know, it was believed that they had like a splinter or a piece of the cross, not the whole thing, but the piece of the cross. You look at the thing and you think, oh, they had no. It was just a piece of said cross, that cross that Christ was crucified from, and they had a piece of it. But you got to understand that this is during medieval times, and not only that, there's more. There was a bunch of relics that people, were buying up to say, "Oh, this was the spear of, Longinus, and spear of destiny, and things like that." You don't really know. They didn't have carbon footprint or anything like that, so they didn't know. They just took it for what it was, or whatever. So yeah, it's also important to remember this film came out in 2005. It was really, response to that. Yeah, the idea of fighting for religious regions was depicted as mainly barbaric. Yeah, it did. For sure. Yes, it was, Chief. Whew, boy. So, and man, it was barbaric, but when something hey, it still happens. Fighting for religious reasons still happens to the day. To this day. It's always religious reasons or some type of political reason. People fight for. It ain't nothing new. It ain't nothing new. So we see that, and we see Balian gives a speech, and basically knights the defenders, of the city, and says, all have claim, to Jerusalem, because of this, because of that, and you finally see him, do artificial things with when it comes to, putting up the fences and scaling to see, the range for the trebuchet or the catapult that they'll be using, to defend Jerusalem. But um, uh, before that, he gives his title to his knight and friend. Bruh, I'm telling you, she's like, it was, but they don't care, Hey, anything to use for to use for our so-called cause or why we fight. I'm talking about. We gonna use this. Look, you look. Hey, propaganda. Is used in battles and the legitimized wars. What I'm talking about. So Crusades ain't no different. Just like yeah, that wasn't no different either. So I mean, it is what it is. So yeah, but you know, so yeah, man, it. Hey, that's the dirty side of politics, I guess, or war games. You know what I'm talking about? So, um, so we see that, and we see Saladin laying siege to Jerusalem with his own catapults and siege towers. Those siege towers. And push them up to the wall where the top lets down, and then a gang of troops can climb up and then just go through that entrance, and things like that. All of a sudden, Balian's this genius defender. Actually, historically, Balian does go back to Jerusalem. When um, from the Battle of Hattin, he's given safe conduct or whatever from Saladin. But the thing was, he was supposed to get his wife and his kids out of Jerusalem. But because the people wanted him to stay, he stays. But he was supposed to get his wife and kids out and supposed to be gone. you know. But he stayed. Bailey has like has maybe the I guess the I don't want to say archetype, but um he's the noble uh loser in a sense. You know what I'm saying? He loses gracefully, but he loses, What I'm gonna say? Is it like Cinderella Man? Nah, ain't like Cinderella Man. But yeah, you know. But they still show Saladin as a victim of the Crusade. Wasn't true. Saladin was jihaded out. He ran up into Jerusalem several times before the time of the movie. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Hey, he was. But I mean, hey, he was. Everybody was getting it. The Fatimids was getting it. The Syrians was getting it from Saladin. I mean, it was happening. It was going down. You know what I'm talking about? That it was weird. This part was more realistic because he made them. I couldn't see how he could know where the weak points in these siege equipments were. Exactly. But because he was an artificer and he built them, he would know. But you never seen him build one. It was weird how they put Jerusalem in the desert. Um, it's in the desert. it's, it's not in the desert. Is that what you saw and took his sauce in it? Yeah. He was, hey man, he was getting it, it's crazy, it's it's the wild wild desert, you know. It's not in the desert. It's not in the desert, Chief. It really isn't, but it's in the script. Make Jerusalem look like it's in the desert when it's not. It's you know, I don't make this stuff. you know, no, nobody thought about that. But you see that. You see Sibylla cutting off her hair and nursing the troops. You see, them actually breaching the walls. And then you see, Saladin and Bellion having priest talks and terms and things like that. And him surrendering the city. See, that's what I'm saying. He's the noble loser. Like, people congratulate him and like, yay, Bellion, but he loses, but he's able to, escape these, places where some people ended up dead, talking about, mind you, like they have the Guy, what I'm saying? Guy was in Syria, what I'm saying? They had him in prison in Syria. They let him go, but they had him in prison in Syria. Western artists audience thinks everything in the region is dusty. They had to put it in the script for that suggestion. Yeah, 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 yeah. I just say like, yeah, they borrowed the generic Mexico movie set to say money on shooting. Yeah, they put it in the Sonora. Here I am. Yeah, they put them in Sonora Mountains, and we gonna save money on this. We gonna get them to build a stack. We gonna save some money. Just like that. Just yeah. We gonna even make them stand-ins. They could be Muslims too. So yeah. And whatnot. But you see that, and he says, if this is the kingdom of heaven, then let God do with it what he wills. He's like, But that's really, then he asks, Solomon, what's Jerusalem worth? He says nothing. And whatnot. And then you see, well, in the director's cut, you see Guy challenging Bailey into a fight and he losing, and then Bailey tells him to rise as a knight. It's like, but he also Imad says, if God does not love you, how can you have done all the things, but how can you do all those things? What I'm saying? They came from you, what I'm saying? But yeah. So, Sibylla and Bailey get together, hand in hand, all in love and whatnot. And they go to France, where Bailey used to live. They never tell you where, but and who do they find? Hey, they meet, mind you, there ain't even a time skip and a time difference. They meet Richard the Lionheart from England, and he's already coming. After they just came back, they already coming. What I'm saying? Like, I'm the King of England. I'm looking for Bellion. Defender of Jerusalem. like he's this special guy, and God is code for screenwriter. Exactly. But um and Bailey says, I'm just the blacksmith, you know what I'm saying? And I'm the king of England. We're going back to retake Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? But he doesn't go. Historically, Bailey does go with Richard Lionheart back to Jerusalem and fights with him. He was there at the Battle of Jaffa, which Richard Lionheart won, but they end up still having to have a truce and peace talks with Saladin. So they never really they don't get Jerusalem back. That's what I ain't gonna show. But you know, they make peace agreements with Saladin, and they go back to England or whatever, because they can really know, well, what do we really want while we're here? It's one of those, we here, supposed to be here for the Holy Land, but you got more than one leader besides Richard Lionheart. Saladin was the son every man wanted. He was a warrior from a young age. He protected his family and was not to be trifled with. He even gave Bellion 50 men who safely escorted Bellion's family back to Tripoli. That's true. That did happen. That did happen. But sometimes when I think of, I don't know why, but when I think of Tripoli, I think of North Africa. I don't think of I don't think of Tripoli in on that coast. I think of North. Don't ask me why. I just do. And meanwhile, the Queen of Jerusalem has settled into a quiet life as a blacksmith wife. They took liberties with that one. I guess the West needed their love story. Yeah, even though they were in different factions, and he was already married with kids with one of the king's widows. Hey, widows need love too. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah. So um but yeah, they go to France, and like I say, he meets Richard the Lionheart. They always make themselves look good. Like she said, they lost, but they look good doing it. Exactly. We gonna lose with some kind of honor and dignity. Like, man, you got rowdy. Y'all got that work. Y'all got work. Y'all got washed. And even Richard the Lionheart can get you back Jerusalem. But he's the Lionhearted. You know what I'm talking about? But he didn't give you back Jerusalem, pimp. Y'all lost that. You know what I'm saying? But even after Richard leaves, a few months, Saladin dies, and he's buried. Actually, you can visit his tomb, and at the Umayyad mosque in Damascus. They buried him in Damascus. So yeah. But other than that, they sure did, because Sabella loved Guy. Yes, she did. It was her stepmother, who was married to Bellion. I didn't know that was her stepmother, but I knew that the king of the I you know what? I thought Amaric was a different king. Wasn't like Baldwin's father, but like another king, like what that went totally over my head. I was like, but he marries no, they must not be in the same line. But yeah. Woo, thanks she. I look, it like I said, it was a lot. Try to research so much, But yeah, I actually thought, they line took it over from a previous line. I missed that. Sure enough, up. They did really highlight it in the film. Yeah, the stepmother's name was Maria. Yeah, Maria Comenda. Yeah, her name was Maria. Yeah, I didn't even pay attention to where she was from with a name like that. But yeah, they even hit the fact that Bellion was active in the High Court of Jerusalem. Yeah, he was. and whatnot. He really was, him and his brother. You know what I'm saying? Because um Evelyn is not the uh not the main. I don't want to say, well, the main citadel or city of basically their house. His brother had the I forget what it was called though, but yeah, was it something with an R? But it wasn't like Evelyn, he that's how Balin. Well, I forget, but yeah, um, but yeah, he was active in the High Court of Jerusalem and whatnot. So look, a lot of distortions. You gotta take these history movies with a grain of salt. Like for real, you gotta take them with a grain of salt. Everything is not to be believed. I so good. Who needs reality? Who needs reality when you got good action scenes? That's what it is, Sister Deirdre. When you got, like good action scenes, who needs that? Just put an action scene in it. Make it wonderful. Put an action scene in there and you good to go. You still see that. You see that with trailers. You put a bunch of action scenes in it, you don't know if the movie's actually good or not. You just think about, oh, they got action in it. That could be from one scene, or maybe two at best. Uh, this is why we love Gladiator. Yeah, this is why you love. Well, he did more than This is why you love Gladiator. Kingdom of Heaven, Troy, and look, probably even like the dang on Transform movies at that point. Even though the Transform movies were trash, but cue the action music. I think a great discussion around these unions could revolve around marrying of women who were previously married and who had children. Why did they do differently? That sustained. What did they do differently that sustained what they built? Hmm. Transformers unreal. Got you, Chief, already. Um. Well, I would say, uh, it could be bloodline. It could be property. These women probably still have property in a sense. Um, Even I would probably say that. Um, or just to say, hey, um, I married the former king, former queen of such and such, because she's but not only she's probably the queen there, she's probably the queen somewhere else as well. They have more than one territory, and more than one city under their rule. So also money, like shoot, another like in the First Crusade where you had another Baldwin, right? His wife was caked up, what I'm saying? But when she died, the money dried up real fast, and he was on crusade, so he had to go get it. You know what I'm saying? He had to go get it. It was like, damn, my wife, I ain't gonna get no money. All the property is gonna go back to her family. you know, now I gotta go back. I gotta go steal somebody else's stuff. Pretty much, you know. They were royal and had status. Yeah, they were royal and had status. And maybe they just, well, she ain't overused. I mean, we can get a few more miles out of this, this used car. you know, she's still pretty much put together. Ain't like she 40 or anything. She's still young. She probably was still young too. Life expectancy. But yeah, um, so I would say, man, there's many factors. Many factors, but um, things like that, you know. Um, Now, why did Balian marry? Well, he probably could have done better. Who knows? Um, yeah, that one I can't speak to. So yeah, bro. Man, that's the end of the movie. Well, we been over the end of the movie by now, but yeah, they brought added value. Also, it was the man that ensured that they were mated even after being widowed. Yeah. Or it just wasn't permissible to have a woman sitting out here with that many resources. He was given permission to marry her, so he wasn't doing her any favors. Yeah, you didn't want a woman with that type of power or property or things like that. Because anything can happen to it. You know what I'm saying? It could fall into the wrong hands. Or you could say that the chick is probably crazy. You know, she probably end up going crazy, not knowing what doing, and squander it, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Um, you know, or whatever. Somebody end up taking it over because she don't, wasn't Baldwin the fourth who set up Bellion in the stepmom. I don't know. I don't know. I can't say if it was Baldwin the fourth who set up him and Maria. I don't know. I looked for it. I just know that they married, but I don't know if they set them up. But Chief said yes. So for sure. So hey, he was cool with the king. you know, he was like, "Hey, take my stepmom off my hands, please." It was Baldwin, but it was a setting up Bailey and woman. Yeah, he wanted that milk action. Bailey had a thing for milfs. You know what I'm talking about? He wanted her. What? You know what? You could probably do the same thing or ask that same question with the last duel. I was thinking about it as I was watching this movie too. You could probably ask that same question because that sort of goes into it, with the last duel. I'll probably do it. I'll probably do it. It was an interesting story, historically. But yeah, the Cougar connection. Exactly. He wanted that Cougar connection. He wanted that. He wanted that Cougar. that Cougar connect. Like yeah, I'm connected through her. Like, bruh. But yeah, he wanted that Cougar connect for real. Like yeah, like I'm giving. Giving it all that I got, for this. Yes. Not like he really gained anything, but yeah, it is what it is. I mean, hey, you know, but hey, hey, they found value in recycled milks. Who knew? I mean, hey, hey, you gotta recycle the shit. Put it back out, put it back out to pasture, you know, or whatnot, whatever, you know. So it is what it is. That ain't what they do in Eastern culture, well, in East Asian culture, It was like, okay, you're done. Go over there. Or they end up ruining dang on kingdoms by being regents and stuff. Not to him, but yeah, you know. Oh man, we can go on and on with this. You know what I'm talking about? Because it's so much. But join us next time. Join us next time when we will be doing Oblivion. Yeah, we on Oblivion, and that's what we gonna do. You know what I'm talking about? And look, give thanks to everybody, because I mean, hey, Aki Antonio was on the dang road. I wanted to join in, but I can't. I gotta, follow. I got my own script. I gotta follow the script myself. You know what I'm saying? But I wanted to join in, but I would have to cuss and stuff like that, and say vulgar things. But yeah, this can't do all of that. The movie was a work of fiction, but good combo piece. Yeah, it's a work of fiction. I mean, a lot of them are. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I was reciting Patton. You know what I'm saying? Patton didn't have George C. Scott voice. Like, for realistically, he didn't have George C. He looked like a hard man, but had a wimpy, soprano like voice. It was, I mean, like, soprano voice, but he had a wimpy soprano voice. It's like, who's gonna follow him? But he's seen as rough and tough and whatnot. But he had a soprano voice. If you ever heard him speak, we ain't doing Atla. We ain't doing Atla. What's Atla? What's that? Atla. Oh, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Ain't we doing Avatar? When? When are we doing it? I thought you said we was doing Dr. Stone. You keep on confusing me. I put in Dr. Stone, and here you said we doing Avatar. What is we doing? Because I get confused. So we doing Avatar: The Last Airbender? Because I know, man. I thought you said this here I joy. Wasn't it supposed to be a group thing? It was supposed to be a group thing. I'm not doing it by myself. So how we gonna do Avatar: The Last Airbender if it's a group effort? I thought it was the first of every month. Dr. Stone is in March. If Dr. Stone's in March, then Avatar: The Last Airbender is a group effort. We ain't even consorted as a group. How we go? So you just, man. I put Dr. Stone. I thought it was Dr. Stone. Now you telling me it's Avatar? We can switch it up. Yeah, let's switch it up, because Avatar is supposed to be a group thing, and we supposed to be doing the elements. Right now, it's too. If I'm doing wind, it's too cold to go outside. Y'all would be bundling up like. So here we are. We doing Avatar: The Last Airbender. Oh, man, and I'm doing wind. And as you see, I am in the windy city, and the wind is blowing. Ain't no thing be all right. Yeah, I'm watching. We can do Dr. Stone February. Okay. For sure. And whatnot. It's like we doing Avatar. So as you can see, I'm on wind, and we talk about air nomads. And right now, I want to nomad myself to the south. Because it's cold. So yeah, bro. But yeah, but don't worry about it. Look, if you got I just put in the schedule or whatnot. So, but I actually put in Dr. Stone. So if we doing Dr. Stone, top of the month, we switch, we switch them, and put Dr. Stone up top, and then Oblivion next, which is an easy fix. So next round, we are doing Dr. Stone. Seasons 1 and 2. So you got Dr. Stone, then you got Dr. Stone Wars. You know what I'm talking about? Which is, it's cool. Dr. Stone's cool. Like I said, got some of the volumes of the manga. Watched both seasons. I was on it when they came out. You know what I'm talking about? So for sure. So we gonna get it. you know, yeah, Chicago winter. So, give thanks, everybody. I mean, look, I hope you are satisfied. Look, because you wanted your little, cookie, for this one. So I hope I have covered everything. You wanted me to cover in this dang old movie. You know what I'm talking about? And you are happy. You just cheesy. With your little smile, with your glasses, but not alien. Just like thank you. Whatever. So I hope we got that straightened out. I'm glad. Now you see why we took so long to get to you, because it's a lot. Yeah, we didn't even cover everything. So yeah, I am cheesing right now. I'm sure you are, because it's you, Alien. I mean, come on, you get your little cookie. Yes, we did it. In my mind, I swear I heard you cackle. I was like, yes, So, for the historical jails and correction to the spell. Oh man, it's no problem. That's the work. That's the work. Like I say, you gotta look at the sources and whatnot, and fact check everything and look them up, because they ain't gonna tell you the truth. I said, Queen Elio. My name is Elio. Elio. No, Elio. For some particular reason, every time I see that Elio, I think of her. But she wears glasses. But I mean, I just think of Elio. Pretty much everybody got a name. When I think of a movie about them, that was hers. Jermaine is because she's at my left. You know what I'm talking about? Because she's always there. Come on, Jermaine. How can I look at my left? I'm tired of this, Hazel. I know it's messed up, but I don't know how it got. I just think if she knows a bunch of music, I could help it. To my movie before. Here we got another one. See, we gotta we gotta show love to the to the elders, of course. Yours is look. I try to cycle them, so when the cars are switched, I'll be able to get to your request. Your card ain't been switched yet. She wants infinite, Chief. She wants infinite with Mark Wahlberg or whatever. And I just been looking for it, been trying to catch up with it, and on the platforms I have, the gauntlet has been thrown. But that's what she wants. She wants infinite. I just saw that. Oh, you did, Chief? Yeah, yeah. She wants infinite. So I want to give her flower. I want to give her not flowers, but flower. So got that. I want to give her a flower before things before she hanged me. She stacked that side of my head or something, or she refused me a plate, even though I didn't ask for the food. But she may not feed me one time. What I mean? I don't know how good she could, but she may cook good. She may refuse me a plate. You know what I'm talking about? So it is what it is. We said cougar 3 times. Here they go. What else? But yeah, I'm gonna make sure I get to you. And give you your flower. You see how long it took me to get to the Truman Show? Hey, you, look, you see how long that took. And I'm always was looking for it. And it was like, man. And with some, you gotta hurry up and get them. And by the time we get to them, they'll probably be off the platform, so nobody can watch them. Now I'm like, oh man, here we go. But yeah, I'm sure enough gonna give Infinite just for you. I look special. Look, we will give you the alien treatment. We gonna give you the alien treatment, because it's you. You don't ask for much anyway, so we gonna give you the alien treatment with your request. um, that was like my second bit. Okay, well, you can't have them all, dang on, Master Antonio. Let South have her request. She only got one. That's all she wanted. you know. Oh, so we gonna give her hers. you know. So yeah, you know what? Let's see. I could shift I could shift the schedule around so I could get to M Arlene quicker. I think that's what I'll do. I'll just shift one movie around and just get to your request as quick as possible. Just for you. I'm gonna move. Look, I'm gonna move something around. Wait up. I didn't watch that movie. I fell asleep on it. I felt. I think I heard it was good though. I don't remember anything from it. Okay, cool, G, cool. No, that alien treatment for a fact. We gonna give you the alien treatment. Make sure you got your, get your shiny head, wrap on and whatnot, and just say my name is Alien. Put your feet up on the lazy boy and everything. I'm sure you got it. So when we get to you, you got your feet up and everything. We're gonna make sure you comfortable. But yeah, I'll move something around so I can get to you just quick. Okay, I did see it. That was the one with Wanda Rossi, and I think so, Chief. I think I saw it a long time ago, but it's not memorable for me. But I'll do it over. Getting in your recliners for sure, and I'll just get to your request quicker and just knock it out just for you, so you can get comfy and we got you, and that way you don't feel like the blonde or anything. Because I heard what you said last time. You don't got to feel like the blonde. Blonde's supposed to have more fun anyway, according to some cultures. But hey, we gonna make sure you ain't the blonde stepchild in the room. Talk about we gonna get to you. That's the one where they were basically immortals. I think so, man. Like I say, it wasn't memorable for me. I put that thing out by you. So yeah, but I will move something around and get to Infinite just for you. So like I said, next round it's Dr. Stone. Yeah, it's Dr. Stone season 1 and 2. 30-minute episode. Well, 24-minute episodes, really. So it's not that long. You don't have to worry about it. And it's easy. That song's easy. We just dealing with science, okay? So give thanks, everybody. Whew. Remember, Shemai, look. Sister Deirdre with this request, man. That's how that makes me tired a little bit because I have so much thoughts. Dr. Stone, that sounds like Cheetah Chong Flip. It's not. It's actually an anime, Chief. With a square head kid with spiky hair, but he looks Caucasian. It's weird, but it's cool. It's about science, And the guy that is supposed to be the protagonist. He got like brown locks or whatever. It's interesting, It's cool. We like it because we like anime. But yeah, I like it. I thought it was cool for the science and the person that draws it, Boichi. He draws good stuff. I want to get into his gangster manga, which is Sun Ken Rock. I want to get into the gangster manga. see what that's about, but yeah. So, but we doing Dr. Stone, you know what I'm saying? So we'll get into some science and whatnot. So have fun with it. It's safe for kids in a sense. So it just depends, on what you allow. But yeah, it's cool. So you don't gotta worry about that. But hold on. Okay, so when's Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood? Well, we'll talk about that later. But give thanks everybody, and I will see you next time. Next row. Peace.